Hi, Mochismo Eugene. Welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. Please like, subscribe, share, give a thumbs up to the video if you find it helpful, and pass it on if you think it's helpful to someone else. I'd appreciate that. I want to know if you guys really understand an awakening and how it happened for you. We're not talking about what circumstances that transpired leading up to it. We're just talking about, let me cut through the chase. I believe, and this is me, you'd have to think about this, meditate on it, pray, and ask God, Creator, the powers that be, to confirm what you believe it was that intervened. Notwithstanding those things that led up to it. My belief it was a divine intervention from God. And I'm going to tell you why I believe it was a divine intervention. Independently, apart from all the other things leading up to your awakening, I think it was nothing short of the hand of God. And I've said this many times, and the more I think about how our world as a whole, at large, is dumbfounded as to what they are experiencing in their day-to-day life. The explanations, to how they explain it away, the excuses they give as to why they are in a situation that they can't seem to get themselves out of. Although the writing is on the wall, we've been there, we know. One reason is because if this was not the hand of God, everybody, in a rational way, would be awake. It goes beyond rationale. Yeah, rationale plays a big part in you determining that something is just not going to change. Something just not going to be different. But rationale can also keep you stuck in something. See, rationale works both ways. It can keep you stuck with a narcissist, and it can bring you to a point of where you most often will determine that this person, through studying it, through making an identification along with the academics, that this person that I've experienced these behaviors from what I'm reading can't change, won't change, don't have the will to change, don't have the desire to change. Okay. There are a few people that have awakened coming to a rationale. Okay. In that respect, I believe rationale played a part in me understanding what I discovered, what I read, what I Googled. And then I measured that by the behavior. And everything lined up. So there was no arguments to be had. So the rationale worked in my favor. But even with that being said, I don't attribute just my simple rationale to how I awakened. I give all credit to God. Just like I give God credit for waking up, for every breath I take. It's not because I'm breathing on my own. And this is not being dogmatic. If one was to truly sit with themselves and realize your alarm clock is not what woke you up this morning, because let's say if you don't have an alarm clock and you don't wake up and you're late for work, or you don't wake up at the specific time you would have if you set that alarm clock. Now, let's superimpose the fact or the reality. What if you don't wake up, period? What if you just cease to breathe, cease to exist with an alarm clock, without an alarm clock, either or? The very breath you take is the mighty hands of God. And this is Sunday, and I I didn't plan this to be a sermon, and it just worked out that way, I guess, because didn't realize it was Sunday. But okay, so be it. Sometimes you got to have church where you are. And so we have in church. I really, truly believe it was the hand of God that woke us all up. Again, I think you should spend some time with this idea. Come to a point where you understand it and you become okay with this. I believe it will contribute to your healing. You becoming at peace with what you went through, what people took you through. Then it will help you and it will aid you going forward, because God will compensate you for your belief in him and you giving him the credit to which he's due. He will also show you when there's a narcissist, where there's a narcissist, wherever they may be. He will be your light. He will guide you. He will show you things that you couldn't see with your naked eyes. He will help you to understand things that normally wouldn't make sense to the normal rationale. Things will pop out at you that most people would be spellbound by, but not you, because as an empath, the chosen one, chosen of God, that is why you are a chosen one, not because it's something that you gave and attributed to yourself. Your empathic nature was given to you by God, because if it wasn't, Satan would have empathy. Satan has been given over to a depraved mind, a reprobate mind. A reprobate mind is someone who has gone beyond the point of return. And this is why narcissists will never change. And I know there are some believers saying, you know what, who are we to say that someone can't change? We're not talking about someone. We're talking about a person that's been given over to a demonic possession, have pledged allegiance to a demonic possession from their very youth, to the point where they've become so disordered mentally and spiritually to where it would take an act of God. But beyond that, that would have to be something God would intervene on behalf of the narcissist. Just like he intervened on our behalf. And who's to say that God's not knocking on their heart? I want to believe he is, because yet while they're still breathing, I will believe that. He's constantly knocking on the narcissist's heart. As dark and as vexed as their heart is, I believe he's knocking on their heart. And this is how conviction works. But instead of being convicted of what they're doing, they just reject. They don't accept the conviction within. So give God thanks to the fact that you did acknowledge that you chose the narcissist. You made a willful decision to be invested or vested in this family member instead of leaving, because at that point when you should have left, you didn't know what you know now, because you were groomed and conditioned to say, well, you know what? This is my family. I'm not going to desert my family through thick and thin to the end. I'm not going to desert my wife until death do we part. When you're an awakened empath, chosen one's rhetoric doesn't play a part in your life, because this is what keeps people stuck, the rhetoric. This is what keeps people in churches that don't know enough, even though they've seen everything. They have 100 reasons to leave, but they're continuing to convince themselves of one poor reason to stay. Doesn't get any better, guys. It gets progressively worse. And you know the funny thing about it, as it begins to get worse and worse and worse, the more and the more we excuse away and we give ourselves excuses and explanations to why we're going to give it another go. We're going to just hang in there for a little while longer. You have to know when the ship is sinking and taking on water. Don't save the ship. Get to shore. That being said, bless.